Um, so Maggie, thanks for joining us today and for offering to tell us about your school and teach for the College Week, the artÉmotion Social Distancing Campaign College Week. Before we get started, I want you to formally introduce yourself. Tell us about your professional career, what college you're working for right now, and your job title.
So I'm Maggie Tesch. I am a professor lecturer at the University of Utah in the School of Dance Ballet program. I danced my entire career for Ballet West, 18 years in the same company under two different directors, and all the while getting my BFA, which I started straight out of high school and I finished at the age of 33. So there is no time limit on how long this can take someone. And I worked for Ballet West as ballet mistress for their second company and teaching company class and in the school. Mm-hmm. And then I transferred over to the University of Utah in 2009 and have been there ever since. I began as an adjunct teaching wherever they needed me. And then I started to develop my own courses, and now I'm a professor lecturer and full-time, and I have a wonderful job, and it's an amazing university. So yeah, I'm really happy to work there.
So before we go any further, I want to talk about the relationship that the U has had with Ballet West in particular, because I had no idea that you actually started getting your degree back, basically, what year did you just mention?
Well, I graduated high school in 1985.
Okay.
And I did not get into a company at 18. That's when everybody said, oh my gosh, you have to get in a company. And if you don't, then you're never going to make it. And it's not so bad now, but it really was back in the 80s. Yeah. And so my parents, like most parents, want their child to go to college. So I did, but I picked a school that had a strong ballet program and that also had a reputation for putting dancers out into the profession. And so that was really important to me. And it was TCU or the U of U were the two programs. So the University of Utah was started by Willem Christensen, and it's the second oldest ballet program in the country. And Ballet West grew out of that school. So they decided it was Utah Civic Ballet, and they performed at Kingsbury Hall, and now it's Ballet West, and they perform at the Capitol Theater and other theaters in the state of Utah. So Mr. C sort of started that, and it was sort of his baby, and then it has gone from, a few different directors now over the years.
Yeah, I had no idea about Jane Wood either. So Jane and you dance together. She's our ballet mistress right now, but she messaged me and she's like, I started going to the U to get my degree when I started professionally at Ballet West. And the year that she retired in 2000, it was the year that she earned her degree as well.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that I felt like I was, I gravitated towards Ballet West. And it seems exactly like the place I needed to be because there are so many women like you already doing what I was doing. I felt alone, but now knowing that there's this rich history of dancers going to school and dancing at the same time. And, and like you mentioned, we heard it all the time, even when I was in school. So that was 2002, that it wasn't possible. But here you guys, I call you guys pioneer women, but pioneer men too, that people were doing this. It just wasn't talked about.
It wasn't talked about, and it wasn't popular.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't a popular route. You were considered that you hadn't made it. And I air quote that because you didn't jump right into a company. And a lot of that was influenced by Balanchine because he was taking company dancers at 15. Yeah. And so that was the 80s. That was the thing. And so, the history, though, it's funny enough you say the where we've come from. We've had, when I was in college, I was offered an aspirantship, and that is now what is considered a traineeship. And so the words have changed, but the relationship has been there even before I came. And the ballet mistress and master or director would come and look at the dancers at the university, and they would be hired to do your full-length ballets. And hired, I mean not paid, just given the opportunity. much like the trainees are now. And so it's more of an in-house thing with Ballet West now. And whereas before they would pull our dancers in, I was asked to do it one year. I declined because I felt I was getting more training at the U than I would have gotten standing around in a studio watching somebody else dance. I was actually getting to do the dancing. So it's a great relationship, and the option is there for people that want to do different things. So
yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing history, a rich history, and one that's very educated. You know, I feel like after so many years, they got it right, you know, so there aren't like glitches in the system. So, okay, so I want to get into what dance degrees are offered at the university, because it's just been recent that you guys have changed to the School of Dance, correct? So there were separate programs, but now you guys kind of evolved into one large school. But tell us a little bit about how that works, and if there are like, you know, at Indiana, I graduated with a Bachelor of Science, but not all colleges offer that. Some offers just BFA or BA. So let's hear about that.
we offer at the University of Utah, we offer a BFA in ballet, a BFA in modern, a minor in modern, a MFA in ballet, and an MFA in modern. We are working on getting a BA in ballet. So that probably to an uneducated listener might not understand what is the B and the F and the B and the A, and in your case, the BS. So it matters when you have that F in there, when you have the BFA or the MFA, it's amount of, it basically equates to the amount of time you're spending in the studio. So we require our dancers to be in the studio 7 out of the 8 semesters that they're at the university in a 2-hour ballet class, 50-minute point class 3 days a week. They take character for a year, modern for a year, jazz for a year. They can take alternate dance forms, which we offer urban hip hop and African, contact improv, pas de deux. So it's very rich and very deep in the studio work. And that's the difference. Now, a BA, which we don't offer yet, but we will, is gonna be for those students that want to do the studio work, but they only do 2 years of it. They only are required to do 2 years of it. And after that, they might take a scholarly route and they might start writing. They might start reviewing. They might start choreographing, teaching, something like that. So we want our degree, we want our school, and even though we are a school of dance, you touched on this. So a few years ago, we did join, and it's a trend in universities right now for us to have schools, and it's a thing that's above and beyond anything the ballet or the modern program really had control over. And so it was going to happen, and so we decided to do it our way rather than let the higher ups decide. So we joined basically under an umbrella of a school, but we still maintain a ballet program and a modern program underneath that umbrella. We do join our freshman classes in their theory classes. Some of their music classes are together. Their freshman seminar, where you're learning how to be a freshman in college, that's done together. And we do that to join the school and to make it feel more cohesive. But all of their technique classes, ballet, modern, point, all of those things are done separately. And their degree is very focused on the creative process, which is choreography. And our degree is focused on more of the technique, acquiring all of the techniques to the point of just pinpoint accuracy. And then you can sort of take emphases. You could do an emphasis in choreography. You can do an emphasis in teaching. So ours is a little bit different that way.
Yeah, the options are incredible. You know,
we have, ballet programs. There's only 7 left in the country that are ballet explicit.
Wow.
Yes. So it is amazing. And IU is one of them. IU, Butler, Oklahoma, UNCSA. I'm not going to get them all. Maybe Irvine in California. So there's very few. Most of them are schools of dance that are run from a modern perspective. They offer ballet, but it's not, we are ballet driven, but they dance everything. They literally dance everything.
So I'm glad you brought this up because this is important for people to know. My whole life as an adolescent, I was like, I'm going to NYU. I'm going to it. I was obsessed with it. So, I go and audition, and I don't know why I didn't know this, but the emphasis wasn't ballet.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah.
And so it was like I got there and I was like, oh no, this isn't what I want. But my whole life, it's just like I wanted to be in New York, wanted to go to Tisch. So it's important that kids really understand what they're getting into because, like you mentioned, if you really want to do ballet, there's only a few places that are really, emphasized on ballet. But the fact that you guys offer so much, it still gives you an opportunity to, do more than just ballet. Because or a couple of days ago, I talked with Alexandra Pernici, graduated from Point Park, and she was Vaganova trained, ballerina to the max. But she got injured in school, and then she ended up going more of the contemporary modern route, and then she's on Broadway right now. So I'm trying to encourage kids to really know that the more you can do, the more you can take advantage of. It's better because I think a lot of kids just did what I did. They have a checklist of what they want, and they don't see beyond that checklist. But if you really love to perform, you have to figure out, okay, if plan A doesn't work, how am I going to still be able to be on stage?
Yeah. And most of that comes from the conservatory mentality. You have conservatories that are ballet driven and point driven and pas de deux and classical choreography, and that is 100% needed. When you come to a university, a good ballet program will blow the doors off of all of that. And yes, we have pinpoint training in the morning. We start every day with 2-hour ballet class. And then from there, the kids are all over the place. They're dancing fresh new works on themselves. They get choreography put on their bodies, and they get to learn how to investigate that for themselves. They learn the classics. They're doing Giselle. We just did a full-length Giselle. We're doing a full-length Don Q next year. So these ballets, we did Swan Lake a couple of years ago. So we do full-length ballets on a rotating basis. So they're getting to experience the classics and not just read about them in books and dance history. So that's huge. They also are doing current choreographers' works that are people that are working in the business. Val Canaproli would be one. Penny Saunders would be another. I can't think of his name. Ceruto. He works in P&B. He works all over the world.
He got appointed their resident choreographer at
yes.
P&B.
Yeah, and we just did one of his works last fall.
Cool.
So so we have an amazing opportunity, and I don't want to scare people away. They're like, well, gosh, I really think I want to go contemporary, or I really want to go Broadway, or I want to do something like that. We have a lot of dancers that come to us to simply hone in on the line and the accuracy of ballet training, because it's going to enhance everything else they do.
Yeah. And I mean, so for everybody out there, what she's talking to actually speaks to what you're going to have to do as a professional. So, I think kids and parents have no idea the diversity of a repertoire in ballet companies right now. So the idea of a classical ballet company is still there, but even at Ballet West, we do an equal amount of new works, contemporary, that we do classical work.
Yes.
And so, what I see often is if a kid comes in straight out of high school, they're so green and they struggle with adapting to these new forms of dancing, where if somebody has more time, if they had gone to college, you do see that they're able to adapt to that environment quicker. And that's how I felt graduating from Indiana and coming to Ballet West. I told you, I said, I felt like I was ready mentally for the task. So, I mean, you guys, again, it's a lot different than it used to be. But, specifically for modern companies, they do sometimes look at your resume to see if you graduated from a reputable program, whereas ballet companies still are not doing that. It's not kind of like a requirement that you have earned your degree. But that's one thing I find interesting still.
I will say Adam does appreciate and look twice at somebody who does have a degree, because with that comes the ability to get up on time, to complete tasks, to adapt quickly to, you've obviously danced a repertoire of works, doesn't really matter whose or what, but if you've come from a reputable program, even School of Dance, Juilliard, for heaven's sakes, I mean, isn't Gabby?
Gabby.
Yeah. So you're learning to learn quickly. You're learning to follow direction. You're learning to to have a voice. You know, too often dancers are just told, do it this way because this is the way we do it in our school. And in a university, you sort of learn all styles. And you have to be good at all styles. It may not be all of your best stuff. You know, maybe modern's not your thing. However, you're going to learn it, so you'll be able to be picked. And so my thing I tell the dancers is, don't get pigeonholed. Jump out of that pigeonhole and you don't want to be the dancer that's always the short girl doing the short girl roles. Yeah. You want to be cast as Lilac Fairy because you're so lush and so gorgeous, even though you're 5'2". I mean, so I really like breaking down those, and all of us at the U really like breaking down those stereotypes of you're tall, so you have to do this, you're small, you have to do this. We like to do this. We like to just mush it all together. So
hey, that's this. I get it. Somebody has to make the change.
Yeah.
And if it does. Okay, so you talked a little bit about this, but in terms of like the ballet technique in particular, is there a certain route that you guys take, or is it all encompassing? Do you kind of say, okay, here are the different techniques you might see in your career, in terms of like pirouette positions or port de bras and épalement, all of those things? Is there something in general that you guys kind of gravitate towards?
What we do, all of our professors have been professional artists. Some have danced in professional companies like Ballet West. Some have been New York Metropolitan Opera Company. We've had Pablo, been in San Francisco and Hubbard Street. We've had Christopher has been in Ballet West, Boston, and someplace in Alabama. I don't really know. And then Jay has been in the company in South Korea, National Ballet, I believe it's called, or Universal Ballet. So a diverse approach to technique. So really, it's funny, I just had a conversation with one of my colleagues yesterday. We try to pull them in as freshmen and really teach, get them really honed in on what a clean classical look is. It's not based on Vaganova, it's not based on ABT, it's based on good universal training. And we teach them how to be smart, because if you walk in and you do a class, I want them to understand, do the class as Allison is asking them to do it. Now, and if my colleague who is very strictly Vaganova, fabulous, if he walks in, I want them to do the same thing. Follow what he's doing, because you're training your brain to pick up quickly. And you have to be able to go into auditions to and know and look at what the dancers look like in that company. And if you want to get a job, you need to learn how to adapt yourself to have that look. And it's not the same. So we hone in early.
I mean, like when we do Ashton work at Ballet West, we have to completely change the way we work every day.
Absolutely.
And it's expected of us. Or if we go back to Swan Lake or Sleeping Beauty, it's Adam Skloot's vision, and he has us doing what he believes that he'd love to see on stage. So it's like, we are, even as professionals, we are going like this, boop, 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 like we're turning with a round arm, we're turning with a small fourth arm, back leg straight, back leg bent. I mean, it changes every day.
It does. And what we teach, some teachers teach really strictly one way, and some people teach, myself, I tend to be more this way. It's like, well, what have you had? What is my partner teacher? Because we co-teach. Teaching, straight arm, straight leg. I'm like, fine, round it and bend the knee. I mean, I do it to train them to be able to do both. A pirouette's a pirouette, whether you start with a long fourth or short fourth or a round arm, it doesn't matter. It's the back that's turning. So we try to really investigate taking labels off, but yet knowing where labels came from and being respectful of that.
Exactly. That's really great. Okay, so I want to get into some of the processes of just admission in general. So for people out there, they might want to know, like, do you have to be accepted academically first before you get accepted to the School of Dance?
Yes, you can audition for us before applying to the University of Utah.
Uh-huh.
And we can tell you that you've passed the audition, but we
Uh-huh.
cannot tell you anything other than that.
Okay.
So we're not saying you're in, we're saying you passed, which is code for you're good enough for our school. Maybe you should apply. So we do have auditions normally in July during our summer intensive, but this year we won't because we're going virtual. So we have fall and spring in Salt Lake, and then in late fall and all the way through the winter in various cities. And that's all listed on our website.
Okay.
And our website is dance.utah.edu. And you can go to ballet and then auditions. You can see the list. It's not up yet. It goes live when we start school in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, I would advise everyone who is even interested in coming to the U to scour the website. Look at what we do, read the articles that have been posted through the years or through the year, this past year. You'll get to see the ballets we perform, all of that stuff. And if we're something that looks enticing, apply to the University of Utah. And I would suggest doing it by November 1st, because that's the honors at entrance, but it's also where you're going to see the most money come your way if you're a good student.
Yeah.
You can apply anytime, but we always suggest November 1st is the honors, and then December 1st is the next date that I would say, if you miss that, after that date, we can no longer consider you for scholarships from our program. So you'll get leftover money if you're lucky, but just try to get it in by December 1st. And then we can then let you know if you've already auditioned, or if you're planning to audition, we can let you know immediately that you're in. And tentative placement is sometimes told and sometimes not. It depends. So we're moving away from that. We want to start placing our dancers in the fall when we see them all together. It's a little different to try to place dancers when you go to one audition and I go to the other, and our ideas may not be the same. So we're gonna move away from that. But yes, once you're into the U, you can then be accepted to the School of Dance. And at the same time that you apply at the U, you should fill out the scholarship application if that's something that you feel that you need or would like to try for, and just do it all in the same process.
Incredible.
That way you don't miss a deadline.
Right. Okay, that's awesome advice. So how many freshmen do you try to accept every year? Is there a set number, or does it fluctuate?
It fluctuates, but we have about 100, upwards of 100 to 120 majors, and we have enormous studios. And so we accept typically around, and here's why: 45 sounds like a lot. About 9 to 12 of those will be placed up in the upper class levels because their technique is coming in at a solid level, or maybe they have just better training coming in. Some of them might be returning trainees, returning professional dancers. So there's a reason that those 9 or 10 go up. And that leaves us 35 in our opening class. By the time school starts, we'll have two to five people leave the program because of life happens and they can no longer come. So then we're down to 30. So if you start to look at the attrition, so our number sounds high. This year, we ended up by the end of the first semester, because then you have dancers show up and they start to do the program and it's more rigorous than they can handle, or maybe their interests have changed. Maybe they want to go a different route. And so we went from a 35-person class down to about 25 in a matter of August to December. And that was nothing other than dancers just wanting, none of them were kicked out. One young lady came with a hip injury that was going to be too much for her to deal with. Another person wanted to go on a mission. So it's things like that. Another wanted to pursue a different degree. So it's not a recreational program. It is a rigorous academically and physical program. And so it's not come and dance and rehearse all day and perform. It's not like being in a company. You're in a Research One university. You're expected to be able to write. You're expected to be able to comprehend, critically think. even in your ballet classes. We throw questions at our students about how to do something and make them figure it out. And yes, they're getting rigorous training, but they're also having to think about why they do stuff. So it's not do it our way because we said so. It's why are you doing it that way? And so we make them think. We make them. It's grown up. It's adult. And some dancers struggle. But then once they know that they can have a voice, once a dancer discovers their voice, you know where I'm going with this, they explode. It's amazing. They become better artists. They become better humans. There's so many advantages to giving a dancer a voice.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to have that relationship. I mean, at some point, and hopefully a college situation, I mean, it no longer becomes like a parent-child relationship, but you're truly a mentor, and that's really what should be happening in a company anyway. And there should always be able to be dialogue, because I think a lot of times it turns into maybe just the, whoever's in the front of the room, they have their ideas about how they would see things, and it becomes their art when it should be, also the person that's doing the dancing. So that's how I felt in college. And I think that's why I came into the company the way I am. And you know me, but I really never had a problem just talking and speaking up. And I remember at first people were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? Like, am I not allowed to voice, how I feel or how I'd like to do this? I should be able to, so I didn't realize it, I guess, at the time, but I am exactly who I am because of my experience at a university. I felt I had, I don't know, ownership.
You do, and you did. And I remember when you came in and you were able to verbalize. You were able, and that right there, you're able to verbalize. And so one of the fun things I do in class, and it really messes with the freshmen at first, is I make them speak. I say, okay, what muscles are we using here? And most of them kind of do the point, and I'm like, no sign language, use your words. What muscle is that? And they do eventually have kinesiology, and they have all these academics that teach them these things. So I'm just sort of opening up this treasure chest of information that they're going to hone their skills as they go up through the degree. So
I want to ask, you kind of talked about this with the credits, but this kind of pertains to this, and this is important, I think, for a lot of kids, is that like at Indiana, we had to have 14 to 16 ballet credits every semester because it was a Bachelor of Science. So I was in class at 8 a.m. for everything else, and then in class until 10 p.m. for everything else. So it's like I was at ballet from 11 until about 5:45. But before and after, I was bookending academics, and it made for a very hard schedule. So, at the U, you mentioned some people, it's a little bit too rigorous of a program. So how many credits right now are dedicated to the dance program if you come in as a BA or a BFA or an MFA?
For the BFA, it's about 120 credits, but I will say we have a very set schedule that we recommend, and it's on our website, so they can look to see the classes. And what's neat about it is that you see at the bottom suggestions for general education, gen eds to be taken at the same time. And so we kind of spell it out, and we have amazing academic advisors that people that are inquiring about the school can contact and ask questions about. We have 85% of our students get a double major or a major minor.
Wow.
And so while they don't necessarily do it in 4 years, although it has been done, but those students are taking 20 hours of credit, or 20 credits a semester, excuse me. But for our courses, I mean, we have your freshman year, you'll come in and you'll take music 3 mornings a week. And then you'll have either jazz or modern on Tuesday, Thursday. And then you go to an academic. And then the freshman ballet class is at 11-ish, 11:50. And you do that for 2 hours. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you have point. Tuesday, Thursday, you have character. You have about a 20-minute to 30-minute break, I believe. And then if you're in a ballet, you may not be, and that's okay. Our rehearsal periods are from 3:30 to 6:30. And then night classes start at 6. So you are going all day. We have a thing called 12-hour Tuesday. which is you start in the morning with jazz and you end at night with improv. And it's 12-hour Tuesday, and the freshmen hone it. They know it's coming. It's sort of creates camaraderie. Everybody's making it through 12-hour Tuesday, but many of the other majors, what the academic advisors can do is they can look at the two puzzles together and help you figure out how to go forward in that path of doing the literature.
That's an amazing, thing to be able to look to, because I remember being so overwhelmed choosing my classes, and I wanted to be a major. I wanted to be a journalism major, and it didn't work out because those classes were during the day. But I know that things have changed probably a lot at IU as well, and we have somebody, Sarah Roth, going to be doing what you're doing, so they'll be able to hear. But that's incredible. Okay, so I just have two more questions. But you kind of tapped into this, but if somebody was looking to come and audition for the University of Utah, do you have really any advice?
Yes, I would, narrow it down. Try not to spread yourself all over. Narrow it down to the schools and research the schools before you come. Mm-hmm. There may be things about our school that's not right for somebody else, and there is a good school out there for you. I'm just going to say, University of Utah is an amazing program, but we also have some peer programs that are as amazing. They're just a little different. And so research is key for finding out what is going to work for you, because we don't want someone here that doesn't fit into this learning system. And so you might be a better fit somewhere else. And so I just first and foremost want to say that the other programs out there in the country are, there's many, and they're diverse, and one of them will be right for you. But for us, you can schedule an audition either in person in Salt Lake, and that will afford you, you come in the day before, you get a tour of the building, you get to observe the dancers that are presently in the school. We're very open about that. We don't allow dancers to take class with our dancers because it's just too disruptive to the flow but we do allow you in and out. You can walk in and out of all the studios. Our students are amazingly generous and will stop you in the hallway and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. Where are you from? Are you looking at our program? Sure. What can I tell you about it? They're our best recruiters, really. And you can ask all sorts of questions. You're toured around the building by a professor. And then you get to see, we always have our auditions on campus around performances of ours, as well as oftentimes Ballet West. So I want to stress this, and I'll come back to that. But so that's how you would audition, and you get to interview with a professor after the audition. You can ask any question you want. If you audition on the road, it's very, very similar. So we go to certain cities in the country, and it's the same thing. You get an interview with a professor, not one-on-one, but in a group setting. You can raise your hand, ask anything you want. You get to take a class from us, and we give you but the only difference is you don't get the building tour, and you don't get to see if this place feels right to you.
Right.
So yeah.
And Salt Lake in general, right?
Yes.
You have to even like the city.
Salt Lake is, and this is where, I'm going to brag now. I think we are head and shoulders above, is that we have so much art in this town. Mm-hmm. We have a professional ballet company, 3 professional modern companies, and I'm not even talking about the ones that are smaller. We've got contemporary ballet companies that are now emerging. We have a professional theater house where we're bringing in touring shows from around the country. So you're getting access to all sorts of dance and all sorts of art. We have we have museums out the wazoo, contemporary art museums. So you will have art, and then we live in this beautiful place. It's absolutely breathtaking and inspiring. And I want to emphasize, it's a great place to be able to go and get away from dance and just feed your soul out in the woods or on a hike or any of those things. So I can't stress that enough, that when you come here, you will have so much that is at your fingertips to inspire you and to inspire your art form. Yeah. So, and not all the other universities are so well saturated in that sort of an environment. Mm-hmm. So that's really a bragging point for our program.
I would agree. Okay, so you just the last question was like who is best to contact, and you keep saying just go to the website. So if you could just give the website one more time, because it seems like it's all encompassing. It has everything you pretty much need to know.
Yes, we do have a recruiting director. His name is Christopher Alloways Ramsey. You'll find him under the faculty, and he is the director of recruiting. You can also reach to the website. It's dance.utah.edu, and that will open up the whole School of Dance webpage. You can look at both the ballet and the modern programs. Like I said, read articles, etc. So all of those things would be good to do. You could check out our summer intensive. You know, it's just fun to look at the pictures, etc. So there's videos on there, that sort of thing.
So, and for everyone out there, social media, I mean, we need to use it in a positive way, but you have U of U Ballet, and I know there's U of U Modern. They
And there's
have
U of U School of Dance, Instagram, School of Dance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you
reach
can
out
do that.
to dancers, Instagram them on DM. I know you go to the U. How do you feel? You know, that kind of thing. So, all right, Maggie, you're awesome. I want to thank you again. This is a lot of really useful information for kids who might feel overwhelmed, and even parents who feel overwhelmed by just researching so much. And you always want to make the best decision because it is a huge investment.
It is. It's no joke. I do want to speak to two more things really quick. That right there. We have out-of-state tuition is daunting. I know. I have an 18-year-old. I feel it. That said, over the 4 years, if you get your residency in Utah, we become one of the biggest bargains in the country. One thing I want to stress to the students out there is you can go to other schools and they may offer you a large scholarship your first year. You need to make sure if that scholarship is going to be intact years 2, 3, and 4 if you're going to maintain out of state. So the way we do our best recruiting, excuse me, our best recruiting is to say, become an in-state resident. And then your tuition drops by 2/3 and it becomes a very affordable option. The second thing.
Huge. That's huge.
No, it is. And it becomes something that you can work a part-time job in the summer and almost pay for your own education and start to wean yourself off of your parents financially, which is what adults do, by the way. I don't know how old I'm talking to.
In a very lucky situation, you know, some kids are looking at this on their own because, you know, they want to be able to get an education. And it's so hard when you're 18 to even apply for student loans with no credit. You get, I mean, bombarded with terrible interest rates. So, you know, the fact that the university does acknowledge if you would become a resident and allow you to move from out of state to in state is just, I mean, I wish I would have known that because I loved going to Indiana, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But, you know, out of state tuition for 4 years in a row was hard and is hard.
Were you not able to switch?
No.
Oh, and my daughter will never be a Colorado resident. She goes to Colorado. Yeah. So that's huge. Utah has a great residency program. It's easy. I'm not saying it's not hard. You have to be in the state a lot. Your family has to come see you, etc. So my point is, my second thing I want to touch, and you might have to edit this in, but I really want to talk about the professional studies program we have, which is the joint trainee program. I didn't really talk much about that. And it's a joint trainee program, but it's also what we're going to change the name to is professional studies, because we have a lot of dancers that audition for us of high caliber, but they're also asked to be trainees in companies. But many of them want to start their degree anyway. And so we have courses, if you're going to be taking ballet from August to June with the Ballet West Conservatory or Ballet West Academy or any academy in the country, and you maintain that rigorous schedule, the same as you would be doing here, you can receive credit towards a BFA.
Incredible.
And we also, if we've learned any lesson from the situation we've been in the last 4 months, many of our classes are adaptable to online that we offer at the university. And so we have many students that are coming to us and saying, I'd like to go do this, you know, traineeship in Austin or in Cincinnati, and they're still getting their BFA with us. And so I'm not saying it's easy, but they're doing it, and they're starting to, there's never a bad time to start your education. You may not finish it in 4 years, and that's okay. You might finish it in 19, like I did. So the point is doing it, oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry, my thing is, I'm getting text. Now I've lost you. Where are you?
I think you have to turn your camera back on. There we go.
There we go. So yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that we do have this relationship with Ballet West. We do have joint trainees that are asked to come in and on the most minimal level, take class with them once a week, the trainees. We have some that are actually invited to be part of the program that gets to be a part of larger productions that Ballet West offers. And we established this relationship with them. And that's pretty huge and fairly rare in this business as well.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so thank you again. And I hope you really do learn from this and take the time to watch the full episode, because, you know, for me, I like to hear instead of just reading. Reading is hard for me to just, you know, sit there and skim through. So this is really cool stuff. And the University of Utah is an amazing program and an amazing place to be. So, and they're lucky to have people like you teaching. I mean,
I have great colleagues. We have a great group of people teaching. So thank you so much, Allison. This is great. And thanks for representing the U.